I don't have to say a lot more about the way I feel about Ric Flair. No respect, no honor. There is no honor amongst thieves in the first place. He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family. You don't know what hard times are, Daddy. Hard times are when the textile workers around the country are out of work. They got 4 or 5 kids and can't pay their wages, can't buy their food. Hard times are when the auto workers are out of work and they tell them to go home. And hard times are when a man has worked at a job for 30 years. They give him a watch, kick him in the butt, and say, "Hey, a computer took your place, Daddy." That's hard times. And Ric Flair, you put hard times on this country by taking Dusty Rhodes out. That's hard times. And we all had hard times together. I admit, I don't look like the athlete of the day he's supposed to look. My belly's just a little big. My hind is just a little big. But brother, I am bad. And they know I'm bad. And there were 2 bad people. One was John Wayne and his dead brother. And the other one's right here. Nature Boy Ric Flair. The World Heavyweight title belongs to these people. I'ma reach out right now. I want you at home to know my hand is touching your hand for this gathering of the biggest body of people in this country, in this universe, all over the world now. Reaching out because the love that was given me and this time, I will repay you now because I will be the next world's heavyweight champion on this Hard Time Blues. Dusty Rhodes Tour 85.
You're listening to Thursday Night AMP on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Hello, and welcome to the Angry Marks podcast here on Thursday. This is the Great Sudoku. We are operating under Freebird rules tonight. Stevie is not here tonight, but we have myself, the Great Sudoku. We have Jordan, as always.
How you guys doing
and
tonight?
we have Killer Kev on the line as well tonight.
It's hard times, Daddy, hard times.
Hard times. Thank you, Morgan Freeman, for putting that out there for the late great Dusty Rhodes.
Indeed.
And starting the show off tonight, Jordan had some good news that he had wanted to share. So why don't we start off with your good news here, Jordan?
Well, yeah, actually, thank you for bringing it up. I did an interview on I think it was on Tuesday. Yes, it was on Tuesday with former WWE diva Maria, former Playboy cover girl as well, and it was on In the Room with Brady Hicks, Kathy Fitzpatrick, former WCW star The Stro, and myself. And the interview, I looked on the computer the next day, and okay, one site posted it, so it's like, okay, cool. But then I look, and there's probably so many wrestling sites that posted the interview. So technically, in the wrestling world, of all the wrestling websites and wrestling media, the interview went viral. So it was a really cool experience for me. First time that happened to me before. Very blessed, very honored, and hopefully more of those moments are to come. You can check out that interview on thebradyhicks.com. It's a really good interview, and you can tell it's a great interview because it's posted everywhere in the wrestling world.
That sounds good. And you had said it went viral, and you mentioned it went viral through the wrestling world. Were there any non-wrestling websites that picked up that interview?
I believe so, actually. There was a few entertainment websites that did pick up the interview. It was the Inquisitor, I believe. I do apologize if I am saying that wrong, but it was on there as well. And probably more entertainment websites, actually, but there's so many to name. But it was on many wrestling websites. I know that, I mean a lot. And it was on quite a few entertainment websites as well. So always an honor for me to be involved with those types of interviews. And, hopefully there's more to come.
Very cool. Very cool.
Actually, I did forget to mention that it was on Pro Wrestling Illustrated too. The headline was featured on Pro Wrestling Illustrated, their official website. So very cool. I was really happy about it.
Kev, you had something you wanted to say?
I was just going to say, it was a good interview, but did you know that Brady Hicks and GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump share something in common?
What's that?
They will pay people $50 a piece for publicity.
Wow.
That's
not my position to say. All I know is that it was a good interview, and it's around the world. So
I'm just kidding. I am just kidding.
Best $50 Jordan ever made.
Brady Hicks is a stand-up individual. I would vote for Brady Hicks for president, if for no other reason than he can get an interview with Maria Kanellis. You try that, Donald Trump. You get an interview with Maria Kanellis.
I don't see that happening, and Maria Kanellis does have that crossover appeal from wrestling to entertainment, so it's good that was getting picked up by some of the entertainment websites as well. So good work with that, Jordan, and keep the interviews up. You have a knack for that, man. You got a real talent for that, dude.
Maria Kanellis would hit a plancha on his hairdo.
A plancha?
Yes.
That too, a plancha and a plancha, maybe a pescata and
She would do a suicida.
She would do a red arrow on that.
She could just sit on it for all I care, but I think Donald might get a little too excited out of that.
Maybe get some toupee action there.
Indeed.
But anyway, we do have a lot to talk about tonight. Money in the Bank pay-per-view happened over the weekend. We have some Lucha Underground to talk about. With the passing of Dusty Rhodes last week, I didn't get to talk much, if at all, about the Best of the Super Juniors finals. So there's a lot to talk about this week, and I wanted to lead off with the 800-pound white elephant in the room, Money in the Bank. And Killer Kev here reviewed that for the AngryMarks.com site. And yeah, wasn't there some arrangement Stevie made that he'd pay for your network if you reviewed that for the site?
Yes, he did, although I must say I had issues come up, so I didn't get the recap done Sunday. I had to do it Monday afternoon. So better late than never, and quite honestly, if you missed my recap, you really didn't miss that much, in my opinion.
In my opinion, with Money in the Bank, if you missed it, you really didn't miss that much.
No, not at all.
Save for one match, but hey, let's get to it and start talking about it. I actually received the pay-per-view by less than reputable means, so I didn't get to see the pre-match between, who was that, King Barrett and R-Truth. I didn't get to see that match, but I'm not really devastated because I don't really care. Who won that match, Kev?
R-Truth.
Wow. Wow. So who in upper management has King Barrett pissed off to get buried like this?
I don't think it's so much Wade Barrett's pissed anybody off. R-Truth just has another mouth to feed. He needs a little extra paycheck, so there you go.
Okay, kind of a throwaway match before the card, not something that was even there. Did you have any comments on it, Jordan?
No, basic pre-show match, just your average wrestling match, pretty good, and let's get ready to talk about the main show.
Get ready to get to the meat and potatoes here. And yeah, I do have a confession to make. The WWE really is not my bread and butter. I come from, watching and reviewing Lucha Underground and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and kind of switching gears to watch WWE pay-per-views is a bit of a shift for me. And it's something that I don't really enjoy that much, but I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch this and review it with the guys here and give it a fair shot. So I did that. I watched that today, actually. And the first match that was up was the WWE World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank match. We had Randy Orton versus Neville versus Kane versus Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston, man. versus Sheamus and Roman Reigns. Though Kofi doesn't talk with that accent anymore. But it's like, boy, the first thing I thought with this match was I wish I could watch this pay-per-view with the Spanish announce team going, because at least they sounded enthused. It's like we had, who was it, Michael Cole, JBL, and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary.
Yeah.
And yeah, they just always seem out to lunch to me. I don't know, they just don't do right by me. But you heard the Spanish announce team talking, it was like, wow, they sound enthused. I want to listen to these guys.
And you actually understand them.
Yeah, I mean, I am taking, Rosetta Stone and Duolingo for Spanish. I am learning some Spanish, but yeah, I mean, you can understand them. I bet they're actually allowed to call the names of the moves too.
But
I do have one question.
Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I had a question. If there's a name for Kofi's hairstyle other than effeminate, he comes out looking like, like a 6-year-old girl, like, should have barrettes in his hair and, sucking on a lollipop or something. What is up with Kofi's hairstyle, dude?
Honestly, I haven't paid that much attention to the hairstyle. I just know that Kofi Kingston's a great performer as a singles wrestler, and as many other wrestling sites have found out, I'm not the biggest fan of the New Day, but I do like Kofi Kingston as a singles wrestler, and in these type of matches, he never fails to succeed. So definitely, I don't really pay attention on his look as much as like his wrestling ability. He's one of those guys where you can just be entertained by watching in the ring.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe I'm reading too much into his hairstyle.
I think the hair is an homage to Whoopi Goldberg.
Perhaps. Perhaps. I mean, this match for me, it was a bit of a clusterfuck. There were a few good spots, like where Reigns powerbombs Kofi into the ladder. Then he picks up Neville and powerbombs him on top of Kofi. It's like, that to me was one of the best spots of the match. It's like, that I watch a lot of New Japan wrestling when I see Reigns reverse that Hurricane Rana that Neville was trying to give him, and I'm expecting him to give him a Styles Clash. I'm like, yeah, I'm watching too much New Japan. He's not going to hit him with a Styles Clash. But yeah, he powerbombed him into Kofi, who was on top of a ladder, which was one of the better spots in there. Neville had a nice spot where he springboarded from the ring apron onto the ladder and tried to climb up it. He didn't get it, but he got there, and then Randy Orton brought him down with a pseudo RKO. He kind of missed it a little bit, depending on what angle you saw it from, but yeah, he RKO'd him from the ladder, which was pretty cool. Neville had a lot of good spots. He hit the red arrow on Sheamus, who was the eventual winner of the match. We have Casper the Friendly Ghost winning. Really? You're going to use Sheamus in an angle for the world title? Okay. Perhaps, but I thought it was really dumb to have... What's that?
Just because he won the match and he won Money in the Bank doesn't mean he's immediately going to be brought into the world title picture. Remember Damien Sandow. He wasn't immediately in the world. He never won the world title, but when he won the Money in the Bank, he wasn't immediately thrown into the world title picture. It's just, I think Sheamus is not going to be in that angle right now. He's just going to have the briefcase for a couple months, then we're going to see him in the world title picture.
Fair enough. Yeah, they can use him down the road if creative comes up with some storyline for him, or if one of the other major players happens to get injured. I guess Money in the Bank is a nice way for him to step in. But yeah, I thought it was really dumb, just production-wise, the way they did it at the end when Bray Wyatt came in and interfered. The lights go out, but they're showing his Titantron. That just seems stupid and needless. If the lights are going to go out, have the lights go out, and then when the lights come on, just have Bray Wyatt there and, do it that way.
Well, it was intentional because they wanted the fans to know it was Bray Wyatt, and because they knew the fans would pop for Bray Wyatt. So just as soon as that happened, I'm like, shit, Roman Reigns is going to get screwed.
For that. If there's an antithesis to pop, that's what I did.
Well, the thing is with Bray Wyatt is that he hasn't been on the greatest role lately after losing to The Undertaker at WrestleMania, and they haven't been using him as much. So hopefully this feud that he has with Roman Reigns can bring back that character to life as much as it was before. Now, seeing that happen at Money in the Bank was a great first step.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that does open the door for Bray Wyatt to have a feud there with Roman Reigns down the road. Hopefully they do something with it and it doesn't just peter out and be a one-off or something, but we'll see. Time will tell.
You know what? Have you noticed that Bray Wyatt has screwed over Roman Reigns, and it wasn't but a couple months ago that he screwed over Dean Ambrose?
Could
Seth Rollins be on his target list in the future?
He could screw over everybody in the main title hunt picture there.
I don't think Seth Rollins will be his target because he is the heel, and he's going for the baby faces. And unless Seth Rollins turns into a major baby face, we're not going to see Bray Wyatt attack him in the near future.
I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. And let me expound on some rumors. There has been some back and forth rumors with no clear confirmation yet as to whether there's going to be a reformation of the Shield or the Wyatt family. So maybe they do both, and eventually you get Roman and you get Dean and you get Seth Rollins, and they all get pissed off that Bray Wyatt's cost them title opportunities or big matches just to make a name for himself.
It could be. It's a good plan B if the singles angles don't work out, or if you need something to bolster the singles angles and nothing else is coming up. But I don't know.
I'm looking toward.
It just seems they did enough to get away from it, and they're starting to go on their singles runs. It doesn't seem like they need to go back to the factions again.
Maybe not right now, but I'm thinking with an eye more towards Survivor Series.
Further down the road.
I think that would be fucking fun. The Wyatts versus the Shield. One night only.
One night, there you go. Yeah, if it's one night only, if you don't, bring it back and do it time and again like we've seen, it's just, if you do it one night only, sure. Sure, that I can see. Bring it back for old time's sake and then go back to current angles.
And speaking of the rumor mills, you questioned earlier why Sheamus. Apparently, from what I've just recently read, this was actually the plan for Sheamus last year at Money in the Bank, to have him win and turn heel, but he got injured. So basically, they just set their whole plans for him back a year, and they're gonna try it again.
It's like, hey, Sheamus, sorry you got injured. Better late than never. Here's Money in the Bank, and hopefully they'll have something good to do with it. Hopefully they'll pop that briefcase out at an opportune time down the road, where it's really going to come as a surprise and shock people. And I don't think Sheamus will be the first person to not get a title from cashing in Money in the Bank, but we'll see how that plays out.
There you go.
Anything else anyone wants to add on the first match of the card there?
Well,
I just thought it was a good match, and I'm ready to talk about the second match. And I know a lot of people, actually, before we do move on, I know a lot of people are hating on Sheamus for winning the Money in the Bank contract, but I think it should be interesting to see what happens with it. I'm willing to watch it and see where it goes. It should be cool.
I guess I'm not really hating on it, more as I'm just kind of like flabbergasted and surprised by it.
Yeah.
Like, it confuses me. It's like I'm not hating on it, but I'm just kind of scratching my head going, really? Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, I just started the blue.
Yeah, it just I wasn't expecting it, and I'm just trying to kind of, use my foresight and see how they're going to play it out, and it's not coming to me. So hopefully WWE Creative will come up with something good for Sheamus there in the future with a world title angle.
Who are you wanting to win again?
Me?
Yeah, who'd you pick?
The New Japan fan in me wanted Neville to win this, but the realist WWE fan was wanting Roman Reigns to win.
Alrighty. Well, unfortunately, wasn't Roman's nice, but I tell you what, Neville dying on his Shield like he did at the very end, I think that put Neville's character over pretty strong.
Oh, he did, yeah. And just some of the punishment that Neville took, as well as, hitting the red arrow on Sheamus, who was the eventual winner of the match. Yeah, Neville really shined in this match, and I think his star is rising, his stock is rising, and not winning the match didn't hurt him at all. In fact, being in the match, I think will elevate him.
I mean, just basically getting his whole face crushed right there at the end.
Yeah. Like you said, dying on his Shield.
I thought that was awesome. So, moving on.
Next match we had Nikki Bella versus Paige in a Divas title match. And this was what it was. It was a Divas match. And
so moving on.
Gothy McEmo had one of her weave things ripped out. That was kind of cool and unintentional.
Yeah.
And I had another production gripe during this match. It's like, why in the middle of the match do they cut to other divas backstage watching this match on a monitor?
I don't know.
Yeah, normally that would be something where you see the number one. It's something that you would see the number one contenders do. I don't know why they did that. Where they always
it was just a group of divas standing backstage watching this match, and it's like, okay, we can see the screen they're watching, but I had a much better view when it was just, the cameraman who's supposed to be filming this, the real angle, and just cutting to that was just kind of eh. But anyway, I thought this match was a great tribute to Dusty Rhodes because we got a Dusty finish, and I thought the finish was horrible. They've been doing this finish, over and over and over, and it just seems like there's just kind of no semblance of a rule book in WWE.
I thought the finish was an absolute rib. To the point where once Brie actually got pinned, she gets the referee's attention and starts pulling wads of paper out of her top.
Out of her boobies, and exposing the tattoo that says, "Oh, look who this is. It's Brie, it's not Nikki." And it's like, well, you took the pinfall. It's like, if you can get the pinfall for the win, you should also be able to get the pinfall for the loss.
Yeah.
But I guess referees have amnesia. They don't, they're not allowed to watch replays of what happened in previous weeks and see that the Bellas switch. And it just, I don't know, it was just kind of a horrible finish. It's fine to do on Monday Night Raw a finish like that, but on a pay-per-view, it's kind of like, really?
Paige versus Nikki, steel cage match.
There you go. Maybe she could hit that cradle DDT from the top of the cage on Nikki. That would be sweet. She had a nice cradle DDT on Paige in the match, or Paige hit one on Nikki for a 2 in the match. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, if she could hit that from the top of the cage, that would be awesome.
Jordan?
Or how about Hell in a Cell? There you go.
There you go. Jordan, what was you saying?
Well, we're looking, it's 2015 right now. It's a new generation of professional wrestling. So we're not really going to see the Divas have a cage match. It's something I wouldn't see. Like, it's just not possible.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to agree with you on that one. At least for Paige and Nikki, they're not going to do it. You bring up some of those NXT divas, though. You tell me seriously. Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks, steel cage match. You can see that happen.
Exactly. I agree with you on that one. That is something I can see happening. But in WWE, on Raw, at the pay-per-views, on the main shows, I cannot picture divas having cage matches.
Bring
them up to Raw. Put them in the blue cage.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I missed the blue cage, wasn't it? Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy. I remember that match where Hulk Hogan went one-on-one with King Kong Bundy in that blue steel cage. It was awesome.
And those were the cages without doors where you had to climb over the top to get out.
You had to climb over. I got the I found that I watched that on the Hulk Hogan DVD. It was a classic match.
True story. That was actually the first steel cage match I had ever seen.
Wow. Pretty cool, but yeah, you're talking about it's 2015 and you don't see the Divas doing a cage match. It's 2015. Why are we using this finish from 1960 where Destroyer number 1 and Destroyer number 2 change places and get the pinfall victory or whatnot? That was something that didn't sit right with me too, something I was thinking about. I'm like, you know what? This angle has been used over and over and over for decades and decades and decades. It's getting stale. It's getting old.
Going. You got to keep the tradition going, maybe.
Everything old is new again, Daddy.
Everything old is new again, Daddy. We have the tribute to Dusty Rhodes with the Dusty finish in the match.
But I will say this. I did find this finish, although I did not like the fuck finish, I did find this one to be more creative than what the Bellas have been doing most recently. Because,
there was some semblance of a match for a while, too.
Yeah, at least it puts forward the fact that, well, my mind just completely slipped, so maybe never mind.
Puts over the Paige isn't complete powder puff, and she can wrestle, and she's a decent worker, and can kind of hold her own, and if not for the fuck finish, she would have been champion. So I think it lends some credibility to Paige, but I really don't give a rat's ass about the Divas division anyway.
Well, okay, my mind just went back on track. I think what it shows is that Nikki Bella is kind of a bit smarter of a diva and a devious of a diva than we give her credit for sometimes, because she put herself into an absolutely no-lose situation with this. If Brie ends up picking up the win for her, then it's a win for her. But if for some reason it cost her, she's still the champion.
It just doesn't seem the intent was there. It just kind of seems like she put herself in that situation and she kind of got lucky in the fact that the referee did see, oh, it's the wrong twin. It doesn't seem like she had the foresight to think, oh, if she loses, that's fine. No, it's more like she expected the twin to win, the twin lost, and it's like, oh, well, guess what? You keep the title. Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, even then, Brie is right there. If the situation got so dire that Nikki was just not going to win, Brie runs right in, breaks it up. It's a DQ loss for the champ, but she's still the champ. There was no
commentators were saying, either way you look at it, it would have been the title would have gone back to the champion. So.
Yeah, there was no way for Nikki Bella to lose. The deck was completely stacked against Paige, and then following up with what they did on Monday Night Raw, pretty much, coming into Thursday night SmackDown here, nobody's got Paige's back at all.
She's one woman alone on her quest for the Divas title.
She's burned too many bridges, and as much as the rest of the Divas don't like Nikki and Brie, they just don't feel any camaraderie. They can't trust Paige. She's done them all wrong. So they
don't like the Bellas, and they don't like Gothy McEmo either.
No.
All right, shall we move on to the next match?
Yes.
All right, the next match we had was Intercontinental Championship title match between the champion Ryback and the Big Show. And I was impressed that Ryback was actually able to get Big Show up and suplex him in this match. That was damn impressive for me. There's not many guys that Ryback gives up a height and weight advantage to, but Big Show is one of them. And my goodness, he managed to pick Big Show up and suplexed him, and I popped for that.
That's incredible. Like, that is literally incredible. Like, he should be proud of that. To suplex a man that size, a man that big. I know Ryback's a big guy. He's a musclehead. He's huge. He's ripped. But, like, to lift up Big Show like that takes some special talent, even for a muscular guy. So good for Ryback. Definitely a great spot there in the match.
And just Big Show just dwarfs Ryback. It's like there's not many guys that make Ryback look small, but Big Show did. And that suplex was amazing. And we got yet another dusty finish in this match with Miz attacking Big Show, disqualification, Ryback keeps the title, and the Miz is just such a waste of space, and this was a waste of a match on a pay-per-view.
It's one of those, like I said, I always say this on AngryMarks.com, it's a Jordan Garber AngryMarks exclusive. It's one of those filler matches. It was on the card because it needed to fill up the show. We know that Ryback just won the title, so he's not really going to lose it just yet. So they just needed a quick finish and they needed something to do to add to the show. They have to fill it up somehow, and this is how it ended up. Nothing special except for that spot that you mentioned, Jason, but except for that little spot, nothing much to come home about in this matchup.
Not much. I just think it would have been just more building of Ryback's character for him to go over clean on the Big Show, pin him clean at a pay-per-view, the first pay-per-view after he's won the title, establish himself as a champion. And I guess he doesn't get that now, but perhaps at the next pay-per-view he can get a clean win. And, maybe this sets up, something going forward with Miz and Big Show, and maybe Miz will get broken in half. I would love to see that.
Really, this was my second favorite match on the show.
Wow.
These two came in, and they came out swinging. And they didn't take their foot off the gas until the very end. Now, I am not a fan of the finish. That was absolute bullshit. But the actual match itself, it was good stuff. So
it was only like 5 minutes, though.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't think it maybe needed to be any more than that. Maybe a few more minutes, maybe. But they came out there, they just like I said, they put their foot on the gas and they didn't let up. And sometimes you just need a good match where the guys are just throwing everything at each other. And I really think that got the crowd way fired up, especially after the end of that Divas match. I just wish they hadn't done the end the way they did it. What are we doing with the Miz? Seriously. Mike Mizanin is such a talented guy. He can work the mic. He can wrestle some good, legit programs. The fuck are we wasting time with this Miz TV shit all the time? Come on. Give this guy's career a kick in the ass here. Revamp him. Let him go out there and be a halfway decent wrestler again. Please.
Do you think Big Show is the guy that could reboot Miz's career?
Hell, Big Show has enough problems getting his career booted.
He is kind of that stepping stone, which is why I'm asking. Do you think if Miz has a fairly long program going on with Big Show and gets some convincing wins over him, that's going to shoot Miz's stock up any?
I don't see that really being a program at all. I mean, I like the verbal play between the two of them a couple of weeks ago, especially when Big Show came out and said, out of all the tag team partners I've ever had, Miz is the biggest pain in the ass of them all.
Shoot.
Yeah,
complete shoot. 1,000% shoot.
Yes, which definitely speaks to his character, but Big Show and Miz were one of the more dominant tag teams during their time together. So, but it was definitely, at that time, it was Miz riding Big Show's coattails, and that was some pretty damn big coattails to be riding, let me tell you. But I can't really see a program between them. Get it back to Miz and Ryback. There's more of a program there to be had.
Indeed, you were saying the match itself was only about 5 minutes long, and I mean, it could have even been shorter than that, as Miz tried to interject himself just constantly from the beginning of the match until he finally came in and, just started decking Big Show. It just, it was what it was, and it wasn't very good.
And I'll even say it was even kind of a nice spot when Ryback and Big Show spilled out of the ring, and the first thing Ryback did was not go after Big Show, but he decided to take a shot at Miz just because he's there. Hell yeah, we need some more of that. From you. Yeah. We need some more of that.
More of that without Miz coming in and interfering at the end. Yeah, just pummel Miz and then have him carried to the back on a stretcher, and that would be fantastic. But I'm not a Miz fan. Anything else that you gentlemen want to add on this match here for the Intercontinental title?
I'm done.
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, and we can move on to what I consider the main event, which they should have had as the main event. We had Kevin Owens versus John Cena, a match that is a return match from the last pay-per-view, and I give big props to the guy in the crowd who had the sign that said, "Sadly, we can see you." That was awesome.
There's a couple other fun signs in the crowd as well.
There was somebody who had a sign with like blinking lights on it, and I'm thinking, that's a thing now?
A couple of them that I pointed out in my recap was IGN sucks.
I saw that one. Yeah, IGN sucks.
Cena uses a shake weight.
I missed that one.
Apparently, I guess it's a shout out to Orlando Jordan. I don't know.
That guy wins the pay-per-view. That sign right there.
Apparently what won the pay-per-view sign contest for a lot of people was the sign that said, "The Cena, the."
Yes, I saw that too. And that, to me, that won the Dennis Miller quotient of the night. The one that, like 0.6% of the fans are going to get. It's a Simpsons reference to Sideshow Bob saying, "Oh no, die Bart die. That's not it. It's German for the Bart thee." And it's like, yes, I nailed it. Die Cena, die. That was a great sign.
And can anybody who speaks German ever be evil?
No, of course not. Throwback to that Simpsons episode, that was great. And I do have to thank Kevin Owens for just slugging John Cena in the face early on in this match. That was awesome. There was a senton that Owens hit Cena with that would make Dick Togo proud. But for the WWE, I have to say I have never seen this many false finishes in a match. I had to kind of do a double take and say, am I watching WWE pay-per-view or is this like a replay of ECW from 1997? There were so many false finishes and so many kicks out of this. Heck, we even had Owens mocking Cena hitting the 5-knuckle shuffle in this match. That was kind of awesome. I popped for that. And Owens himself, he kicked out of not one, but two, what do they call them now? Attitude adjustments. I still call them FUs, but he kicked out of two of them.
They have to change it to, attitude adjustment because of the PG audience.
The PG era, yeah.
And my take on this match was that it was a great match. It was perfect. And it was a perfect ending, too, because now what they're trying to do, like Owens right now, by the looks of it, if they use him correctly, Owens is going to be a star in the WWE. However, the problem is that there's been many stars that had this push before that debuted and went over against John Cena. And then before you know it, they're on the independents again in 2 or 3 years. Hopefully this is not Owens' case. Hopefully this is a stepping stone for Owens to reach major fame in the WWE. And he's already done that. And hopefully it continues with Kevin Owens. Hopefully they continue to use him in the right way.
Hopefully it was an interesting ending with, Super Cena picking up the win with his third attitude adjustment of the match. And then, he goes to extend the olive branch for friendship, shake Owens' hands after the match. And then Owens just lays him out after the match. power bombs him into the ring aprons, and Owen leaves with both belts in hand. Unfortunately, he tosses the U.S. belt down about halfway up the aisle. It would have been nice to see him kind of take that U.S. title with him and say, hey, I've got both titles. I know I can beat you. I know I can beat you. I'm just going to take your title. But they didn't quite play that out. But as much as I hated the finish to the match, I kind of liked how Owens lost the battle but won the war.
I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely hated loved the match. This was again a strong match. But what really pissed me off with the end is I thought that Cena was trying to finish Owens off with the Canadian Destroyer at one point.
2.9. That was amazing.
Well, I was corrected by Stevie J later on. It was not the Canadian Destroyer. It was the Code Red.
Okay.
There is a slight difference between the two, and the Code Red, most prominently used by,
Amazing Red
in TNA, and also Trevor Murdoch in WWE. Towards the end of his run, when he was doing the singles matches instead of the tag team run, he used the Code Red for his finish as well. But I hadn't seen it at that point, and I didn't see, haven't watched Amazing Red use it either. I haven't caught any of those matches, so I thought
I've seen Red hit that. Yeah, I've seen that back in the day. But I think I know where you're going with this one, Kev.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that. Yeah, you have Owens kick out of not one but two attitude adjustments, and why then would he not kick out of the third one? It would make more sense to have Cena, pin him with that Code Red, this out of nowhere, oh my God, I've never seen Cena hit this move at such high impact. Wow, he pinned him with that because the attitude adjustment wasn't working. That would have been a better finish. But, to go back to the stupid WWE formula of you have to win with your signature maneuver because you're a WWE superstar. It's just like, yeah.
Well,
that was kind of lame.
What's pissing me off right now is that they've got Cena trying all these new moves, and he's just not really good at them. The Code Red, now that I went back and I've seen, Amazing Red and I've seen Trevor Murdoch pull him off, this just looked incredibly sloppy. And then on top of that, he really just ends the match with the springboard stunner. He has never pulled that off right. It looks absolutely horrible, and I'm gonna agree with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's not performing it right. It looks dangerous, and he's either going to hurt himself or he's going to hurt somebody else doing it. We don't need any more injuries from sloppy moves here in WWE.
Especially when it's not adding anything to the match. Yeah, like you're saying, it doesn't look good when he's doing it, and if it doesn't look good and it's dangerous, that is a recipe for disaster, and there's no reason to have it in the match.
I mean, I am all for John Cena learning new moves, fine. But until he can pull them off with the same amount of perfection and polish that the rest of his moveset has, no. Keep it off TV. Keep it off of pay-per-view. Do it at house shows. Fans aren't going to concern as much, and if you fuck it up 9/10 of the time, nobody's really going to know about it anyway. Even if it gets reported in the rag sheets, nobody really cares about the house show reports all that much. Go practice. Don't do this on pay-per-view.
I understand why they're trying to do that. Is they're trying to shock the audience. They're going to be like, oh my God, John Cena just did that. But the point is that you're right, Kevin, as well as you, Jason, and even like you said, Stone Cold was right bringing that up. If you're trying to do a move on TV and you mess up, it doesn't make you look good. That makes the match as a whole it makes it look worse. So why do it until it's perfected?
Yeah, it made this finish look bad, but Owens' turn at the end more than made up for it. I'm like, thank you, Owens. Thank you, Owens. Thank you, Owens.
That was awesome. Yeah, I mean, I would have been disappointed at Owen. Owens shook his hand and, just left and that be the end of the match, just kind of kowtowing to Cena in his omnipotence. But yeah, Owens just saying, you know what, Cena, you're lame. I'm going to kick you in the gut, throw you to the outside of the ring, powerbomb you into the ring apron, and leave with your belt. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the thing what they're doing is that you're going to know if that Owens, he hasn't been on the roster for more than 2 months. So when he's shaking Cena's hand, you knew he was going to do something because he's on the roster for no more than 2 months. That wouldn't make sense if he just shook his hand and walked off. They need something to do with him. They need something for him. So that's why they did that, and it couldn't have looked better. It looked great.
You know what?
There's a few more things I wanted to hit on this match, too, unless you have something to say before we wrap it up here, Kev.
Well, I was just going to say, and on top of what Jordan just said, you know, with Owens' actions, I'm very glad Owens followed it up with an explanation on Raw, where he basically said, the reason I did it was because I was disrespected. John Cena looked at me and said, I belong here. I don't need John Cena's fucking validation. I know I belong here. That's why I am here.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's great that he can take something as innocuous as that and turn that into his reason for turning on him. That is pretty sweet.
So, by the way, here's one little tidbit that I also learned this week. You know, see, Owens has been mocking Cena quite a bit and using a lot of Cena's moves, you know, especially the attitude adjustment. I found out that Kevin Owens actually used that as his signature for quite a while. During his time away from Ring of Honor, when he was working independents, mostly Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, he used it, and he named it the Deep Sea Diverticulitis.
That's a mouthful.
Diverticulitis, that is an intestinal virus, isn't it?
Yes, most famously suffered by one Brock Lesnar.
Actually, I don't know if, it's kind of hard to explain, but I don't know. It's very questionable if I was having symptoms of it once. It is not fun. It is not fun.
Alrighty, I wanted to hit on a few more things from this match before we move on. Just some spots that Owens had hit. He hit this release German suplex on Cena, followed by a running senton into the corner on Cena. That was hype. He had this like burning hammer type move that Cena kicked out at like 2.6. And then my favorite move probably of the entire match that Owens hit was this avalanche snowplow type maneuver for the top rope that was like a gnat's hair away from being a 3 count at 2.9.
Yeah. I mean, Owens' timing is just impeccable.
So yeah, that, as I said, that should have been the main event for the show. None of the matches after that topped it, and actually there was a Dusty Rhodes tribute after the match, and, you know, that was kind of cool too. I liked watching some of the older clips, like especially where he had the actual NWA, before it became, you know, WCW, he had the NWA World Heavyweight title, and they showed, you know, him in the ring against guys like Harley Race and Ric Flair. They even showed, you know, of course, the WWF days with the polka dots and stuff, but I thought it was a nice tribute they did, you know, both at the beginning of the show to open it up with a tribute to Dusty, and then after this main event in the middle of the card, this Dusty tribute. I thought that was a nice touch too.
Yeah, good job.
And that's about where my attention span tuned out. Although I did watch the rest of it, I just was kind of like, there's just nothing you can do to top that John Cena Kevin Owens match. But they did have matches after that. The next one was tag team titles match between the New Day versus Darren Young and Xavier Woods. And like I said, my attention span really tuned out for this, though I did like that the New Day asked for some clap therapy for Kofi Kingston. That kind of got a laugh from me there.
You know what? I liked how the fans kind of trolled WWE on this one a little bit. Because what the writers were expecting is once they started up, the fans would start chanting New Day sucks. So everything that they had scripted was based on that. But all night long, the fans were chanting, New Day rocks. So they start clapping, the fans start chanting, New Day rocks, and you could just see they're all kind of taken aback, and they're like, shit, they're cheering for us, what do we do now? Stick with the program.
Yeah, it wasn't even divided, like the Let's Go Cena sucks. It's like they were all kind of getting behind him, and you could see this like heel heat just kind of coming to a screeching halt, and it's like, well, what do we do now?
It's like they just got, okay, we gotta stick with the program. So they start healing on the fans for booing them, and the fans start cheering more up until the very end when they get ready to end it all, and then the fans boo the piss out of them. I'm like,
turn on them right before you get new champs. Yeah, so we do have new tag team champions here, and I was really, really bored with this match. My attention span just got it tuned out. I couldn't even tell you what the winning maneuver was. I didn't even care to go back and rewind it. I'm just like, oh, we've got new champs, great.
You know what? It was kind of boring, and it's unfortunate because I wanted the primetime players to win last month, but instead they had to be in this match. I mean, they could have been the tag team champions, first match of the night at the last at Elimination Chamber, and that momentum could have carried on. Instead, they have to clean up behind Cena Owens 2. And
yeah, that's a difficult place to clean up. Yeah, I mean, I would rather see them win the match not at an Elimination Chamber style. I'd rather see them win it in this style. But yeah, not after Cena Owens too. And wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, and it was a fine match, but it wasn't really a big match. There wasn't a lot of big moves. In fact, you didn't remember how the match ended? I'll tell you how the match ended. Woods tried to roll up Titus O'Neil for a pin after all the shit that's going on outside the ring. O'Neil kicks out, misses a big boot, instead catches Woods in a scoop slam, covers him, and pins him.
A scoop slam. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, how old school, ordinary, boring is that?
Wow, next thing you know, we'll be ending matches with full Nelsons.
You know, we'll be, yeah, I mean,
I guess that's why I blinked and missed it. Yeah, it wasn't much of a power move or a finisher or anything. It was a scoop slam.
You know, and that's okay. I think that kind of works for Titus O'Neil. He is a very powerful person. So ordinary moves in the hands of a powerful person should result in something powerful, but unfortunately, you know, it's not a high profile finisher. You know, I'd like to see him continue using it. But in order to do that, kind of like what Paul Heyman and Stone Cold Steve Austin alluded to back a couple of weeks ago, and I hate to bring this up again, but the Steve Austin podcast that aired after Raw, that's really good. You should go listen to it. You know, on the heels of criticizing Cena for his moves, they talked about the importance of finishers and why some finishers like a super kick are just not important anymore. And Paul Heyman neatly pointed out that you really have to be careful with it, not only in what moves that you pick, but the moves also have to be protected by all the wrestlers, because if we just no-sell them, then it doesn't matter what the move is or how important it is. You know, if we're not protecting it and we're not selling it, then it's just not going to come off as being important. And the example he gave was, what if we put Mark Henry on a year-long run, just a monster run, where his finisher was a side headlock that crushed everybody's head? You know, as long as everybody protected that and sold it, everybody would believe that Mark Henry is going to end this match by trying to rip your fucking head off. You know, so
maybe, I mean, I think it might work better, like you said, with like a scoop slam. I don't know about a submission. I think the fans might get bored and tune out if somebody like a Mark Henry is, you know, using a headlock as a finisher. I think it might get old quick, but something with impact I could see.
Well, I mean, but Mark Henry, you know, power lifter, you know, Olympic veteran, you know, world's strongest man.
World's strongest man.
You know, that kind of gimmick would really work for him. You can't see Seth Rollins ending a match with a headlock. No, it just ain't gonna work. But a guy like Mark Henry, yeah, but if you take a guy like Titus O'Neil, who's really big, jacked up, athletic, and you just end it with a power slam, that's only gonna work if everybody sells that power slam as, boom, he's dead. He's dead. He is fucking dead, Jim. And you put those matches in spots where that means something. Like at the start of a show or before a big match like Cena Owens. That's going to leave an impact on the fans, and that could work very well. Is WWE's writers going to get that, though? I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in it.
Another angle to look at it from is this is also a tag team. It's like after that scoop slam, you know, maybe you could have Darren Young come off the top and do some kind of move and hit the guy and then roll out of the ring and, you know, then get the 1, 2, 3, you know, make it a little more exciting than just, oh, there's a scoop slam and a pin, 1, 2, 3. Wait, what just happened?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you know, get Darren Young involved on the finish too. It's a tag team. Have both members involved, you know, with something kind of high impact that fans are going to realize, oh yes, look what they just did. The match is going to end right now. This is a 3 count instead of a scoop slam out of nowhere.
Yeah, maybe they do need to work on it a little.
Jordan, did you want to chime in on the match?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I know what you mean, Kevin. just one scoop slam as a finisher. It could be like a long 2 count or something. But to have that to finish up the match it's not the greatest thing. But still, I thought the match was decent. It was like it was referring to the other match, the Intercontinental title match. It was a very short match, but it made its purpose, and we have new tag team champions. So good for the primetime fighters, and hopefully they have a good reign.
Indeed. Anything else you want to add about the tag team match, Kev?
No, I think I've said all that could be said.
Okay, and we'll move on to the final match for Money in the Bank 2015. We had a ladder match for the title. We had Seth Rollins going up against Dean Ambrose, and I really had to pop for the small faction of fans in the crowd that actually got up a CZW chant for Ambrose. That was awesome. I like that. This match, it seemed like a bit of there was a lot of plunder that was brought out. There were lots of ladders, there were lots of tables, lots of chairs, but it just wasn't like good or varied plunder. It's like they just seemed to bring it out for the sake of bringing it out. There wasn't any, stop signs. There wasn't anything wrapped in barbed wire. It was just, tables or not even tables. It was just chairs and ladders. And it's kind of like, well, you're bringing these out and you're throwing them on top of Ambrose there under the ladder. It's just like that. And my what the fuck moment of the match came when Rollins did a sit-out powerbomb onto a ladder stacked with chairs. Why would he do a sit-out powerbomb on the ladder when he could just do a regular powerbomb onto Ambrose into that without hurting his own ass?
That is true. I think what he was doing is he was making more of a dramatic effect.
And it was just like, why would you do that? But yeah, I mean, that was one of the neat spots in the match. Then there was also Rollins kind of using the strategy back in the day when I had my N64 and I'd play WWF No Mercy of in a ladder match, you take your opponent, you beat him down, you put a submission hold on him, and when he's good and beat down, you throw him into a tree of woe, and then you go and climb the ladder. Unfortunately, it didn't work for him, but I was just like, hey, I've done that before in a video game. So that got a pop from me. I'm like, yeah, I used to do that back in the 90s, dude. But yeah, we got the one spot where they set the ladder up like a bridge between the announce table and the ring, and we got a holy shit chant when Rollins got backdropped onto the ladder. I don't know. This was another match that, for all the plunder and for, all the hype surrounding it, it just didn't really seem to live up to it. We have Rollins retaining. It's like the match ended. You had Ambrose grab the title first, and Rollins was right up there with him on the ladder. Rollins grabs the title. They both fall to the ground, and the title ends up in Rollins' hands. It's kind of, I didn't think it was kind of like a fuck finish or a screw finish. It was just kind of like, It was kind of a meh finish. It's like, okay, you want to end the match that way? That's fine. You did work over Ambrose the whole match. You did work that leg over. He was climbing up the leg on one ladder. You are the champion. If you want to retain that way, that's fine. But it just didn't really excite me that much. It's like my attention span was just kind of eaten up by that Cena Owens match. And this was just kind of, I guess I would say, a weird ass finish.
Well, I think you're bringing up, and I know you brought up earlier about Cena and Owens being the main event match. But they can't be the main event match because it is not for the world title. So
I don't think you need it to be, though. I really don't think you need a title involved to have a main event. I think you can have a main event that's not for a title, and it would be fine. And I think it would have worked better in this case, actually. But yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, but it was a good match. I think it was great. It was good, but it wasn't great. Your average main event match, they got their bits in. There were some good spots in it, like you said. You said, why would he do a sit-out powerbomb? He could do a normal powerbomb. And I commented saying that he wanted to do that for a more dramatic effect, which did seem successful. All in all, it seemed like a decent match, but it wasn't the greatest main event match I've seen on a pay-per-view. But it was pretty good, I'll admit.
I'll chime in on that for just a moment here. Obviously, Cena versus Owens was the big match of the night, no doubt about that. But I'm still kind of the old school kid who thinks that if you have a title match on a card, then the title match should be the main event. And if you have the heavyweight title match on a card, that should be the main event over all other title matches, period. And really, if we're gonna do Cena Owens, then that definitely should have been a main event on a card that didn't have any title matches. say except for the Money in the Bank briefcase match. And that would be an instance where normally I would advocate on any other Money in the Bank card, I would advocate Money in the Bank title briefcase match is the most important thing. You name the pay-per-view out of it. That should be the main event. That said, I could make an exception of having Money in the Bank being the semi-main to Cena versus Owens 2 because it's just that big of a match. I don't have a problem with that. But as big as Cena Owens was, if you've got the heavyweight title on the match, I'm still traditional. Heavyweight title match should have been the main event. It's unfortunate that they chose to put Cena Owens on because it overshadowed the main event. And like has been borne out by Jason, just completely burned out for the rest of the match. And it's unfortunate because this was a fairly decent match. What I really liked about this match, though, was that it finally showed that Seth Rollins didn't need J&J security, didn't need Kane, didn't need any help from the Authority to pull off the win. Granted, he won it literally by the skin of his teeth and maybe a little bit of luck as well, but he still pulled off the win. He still did it by himself. There was no fuck finish. There was no interference. This was just raw, gritty wrestling, and I really liked it, and I appreciated it for that.
And Rollins hit Triple H's finisher of the match. He had a pedigree. That was kind of cool, too.
Yeah,
I'm going to go back to something that you had touched on, Kevin, too. You were saying, the name of the pay-per-view is Money in the Bank, and I just kind of realizing, the Money in the Bank match was the curtain jerker for this one. It was the first match out of the gate, and this is your pay-per-view is called Money in the Bank, and that's your first match.
Well,
you have such a good point there. Is that the pay-per-view is called Money in the Bank, and Kevin said this. Your main event match should be the world title match for that match, and it was the world title match. Okay, that's cool. But, like you just chimed on, Jason, why is the first match of the pay-per-view the match of the name of the pay-per-view? The match should be that Money in the Bank match should be the match before the main event or the main event, one of those two. And pretty much that's the only thing I would change about it. Like, just do one of those two and you're good. But I don't know why they made it the first match, but it's WWE. They know what they're doing.
It's basically been a common complaint for WWE for the last several years. I mean, if you remember, last big show, WWE Elimination Chamber, first match of the night, Elimination Chamber match. Did the other Elimination Chamber match make the main event? No. And that's pretty much the way it's always been for Elimination Chamber. In fact, the only time the Elimination Chamber outside of the first pay-per-view was the main event was when the Elimination Chamber was for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. But but they've done that also with back when we had King of the Ring. Oftentimes King of the Ring was not the main event. Even with Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble has not been main event for many years. Often put aside for either World Heavyweight title match or another super big name match that you just couldn't miss.
Yeah, again, I guess coming from, my background where I like watching Japanese wrestling, and I've seen this in New Japan where the Intercontinental Championship, there was a card where on a pay-per-view, the main event was actually Shinsuke Nakamura defending the Intercontinental Championship, and the sub-main event before it was Kazuchika Okada, defending the IWGP Heavyweight title. So it can be done. You can put, and it was actually done by fan voting too. The fans actually wanted to see Nakamura defend the Intercontinental title in the main event more than they wanted to see Okada defend the IWGP title, and it works. You can have, it just depends, I guess, on the fans and on the circumstances, but it can work. You can have a lesser title in the main event if the match is going to be more exciting. And if you're going to do, 550 false finishes in a match, that ought to be the last match of the card if that's not the style that every match on your card is going to have. Like ECW, every match was like that. They had, 15 false finishes. But if you're going to do that on the middle of the card and you're not going to see that the rest of the night, it's just kind of like a downer. It's just kind of like, well, I just saw this Kevin Owens and John Cena match and boy, they went at it and they, kicked out of this finisher and kicked out of that finisher. And then we get, 2 more matches where it's just, business as usual with the WWE. It's just kind of like, really? Okay, well, I just saw something a lot better, but yeah, okay, now we're back to this formula.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go.
that's my 2 cents on, not having that as the main event. But anyway.
So overall, what did I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kev.
I was just going to say, it sounded like we're pretty much hit the end of the match. What did everybody think of the pay-per-view overall?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was all right. Nothing, not the best pay-per-view I've ever seen, but I think it was all right. I'll give it a 7.
I will give it a 5. The big surprise for me was Kevin Owens versus John Cena, and being as good of a match as it was, I was very surprised. The false finishes were wonderful. I mean, it took me back to a time when I actually enjoyed watching wrestling. I wish this was a formula that WWE would follow more. I was expecting this thing to just kind of suck from beginning to end, but hey, I got to see Neville hit the Red Arrow on Sheamus. I got to see the Kevin Owens John Cena match. I got to see Ryback suplex the Big Show. Saw a nice Dusty Rhodes tribute. Yeah, I'll give it a solid 5.
I'll give it a blue.
Alrighty.
Well,
a blue.
Yes, I am introducing the new Angry Marks Roy G. Biv scale of rating professional wrestling pay-per-views.
So it wasn't quite indigo or violet, but it was blue.
It was a solid blue, yeah.
Blue, ba-da-dee, ba-da, ba-da-ba-dee.
No, if we're gonna rank it, if we're gonna do 1 to 10, I'll give it a 6.
Okay, anything else that we want to touch on with Money in the Bank or going forward with WWE?
No, I'm tired of WWE now.
All
we
spent a
solid hour talking that pay-per-view.
Talking about Money in the Bank, yeah, and we can talk some Lucha Underground and some New Japan if you guys are up for it.
Well, I just watched the Lucha Underground episode.
Oh my goodness, and what an episode this was. We had one match the entire night. The entire night we had Johnny Mundo versus Prince Puma in an Iron Man match for the Lucha Underground Championship. And I have to say that Lucha Underground has some big cojones to put on an Iron Man match, one match for the entire show, and it did not disappoint at all.
No, not a bit.
That one did either. I totally agree. That match did not disappoint.
Especially the spot with the ladders and the tables that got set up. There was, I think it was Johnny Mundo who had set up the first 2 tables, and then Prince Puma gets up and they start brawling through the upper tier of the crowd, and Puma goes back down and gets 2 more tables and sets them up on top of the original 2 tables that Mundo set up. They brawl through the crowd some more, and Puma hits a suplex on Mundo on the concrete on the upper tier of fans. The ladder's still set up, and Johnny Mundo actually rides the ladder from one side of the crowd across the aisle to the other, hops up on stage where the band is, tells the band to start playing to try to kill some time because Mundo's up in the pinfall count. Prince Puma eventually comes up. Mundo swings a 2x4 at him, but Puma catches it, wails on Johnny Mundo with the 2x4, and then just tackles him right off of the elevated stage where the band is playing, and they both crash through all 4 tables. All 4 tables just splitting completely clean in half down the middle. That, oh my goodness, that was an amazing spot right there.
Yeah, it was great. All throughout the match, just very well placed spots. And they didn't try to go too fast. It didn't get too slow. Every spot on this card was intentionally placed to properly fill out 45, 50 minutes of action.
And I have to give a shout out to Stevie J, who is in the chat room along with Bionic Iguana in our chat room. But yeah, I was talking with Stevie earlier, who was mentioning how Matt Stryker was selling the psychology of this match. How there was a move that Prince Puma hit, and the way Johnny Mundo landed, he immediately had his leg draped over the rope, and Stryker says, and that's the ring presence, that's the smarts, the knowledge of Johnny Mundo. He knows where he is in the ring, and after a move like that, even though Puma didn't go for a pin, Mundo got his leg across the rope because he anticipated it. And I'm like, yeah, you know what, that kind of takes me back to a time, back in World Class with Mark Lawrence, or in NWA with Jim Ross, where they would say, yeah, you're a champion, you have your Harley Race, or you have your Kerry Von Erich or whoever, and yeah, if they get pinned, if they hear a hand slap the floor twice while they're asleep, before your hand hits the floor the 3rd time, their shoulder's coming up off the mat. And that's something that you don't hear a lot with announcers anymore, is them really selling the psychology of matches and moves, and getting your foot in the ropes and getting your arm up at 2. It was kind of refreshing to hear that, although I do think that Stryker took it a little bit too far, where we had one point in the match where Johnny Mundo was up 4-1 in the pinfalls thing, and just oh my God, Stryker was just selling, we're going to have a new champion, Mundo's going to walk out with the championship, and just left and right and kind of overdoing it to the point where you're thinking, yeah, there's no way Mundo's walking out with this title with as much as Stryker's putting over that he's going to walk out with the title.
Well, I think it's better to oversell than to undersell.
Yeah, I agree. It's better to oversell than that kind of WWE philosophy of underselling, of not, calling the moves, of just trying to sell the next match on the card or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it was good. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem. I even like, there was a point where Vampiro had said, I think after the first fall that Prince Puma picked up, where he said, that Marty Elias really, counted fast on that, and I was like, I have to agree. It seemed like a fast count to me, and it's nice to hear announcers kind of on the ball like that. Like, you've got eyes, the announcers have eyes. If they see a fast call, and they're not trying to get heel heat with it when it was just, a regular count. But yeah, to me it was like, yeah, that did look like a fast count, and I agree. And I like the smartness that Vampiro and Stryker bring to the commentary on Lucha Underground.
You know what? I'm going to agree there. I have not actually gotten to watch Lucha Underground. I mean, I saw one match from like their debut show that they put out there, but I just kind of haven't had the time and just really haven't had the drive or the entrance to go find copies of this, because I don't have cable, I don't have El Rey Network, so I'm not really able to see it, and I've just not really paid attention. But just by chance, you and Stevie started talking about this match this morning, and this afternoon somebody on a Facebook group I was on posted a pirate link to the show on Daily Motion. So I went ahead and watched it, and the biggest takeaway I can take from this is I completely appreciate the fact that you have Matt Stryker and Vampiro there. They're not paired as, babyface announcer versus heel announcer. They just have this natural conversation about the product and the wrestlers and what's going on in the middle of the match. If they see something that's really good, no matter who hits it, they praise it. If something looks like it's not on the up and up, both of them will criticize it. And even like, for example, the role of Conan in the corner of Prince Puma, that got a little bit of negative sell from both of them, but at the same time, both of them acknowledged that having Conan there, except he wasn't there for this match, but having Conan associated with Prince Puma as his protege has definitely drawn benefits.
Right, and yeah, it's Vampiro is unique in that he tends to like bash the guys that he legitimately hates and put over the guys that he legitimately likes. Sometimes he'll try to do the heel face thing, but he'll get away from it. It's not like his modus operandi. It's not what he's there for. But yeah, I mean, he's always, as someone who hasn't watched the show a lot, Kev, I do want to chime in and say that, yeah, Vampiro harps on the fact that Conan is Prince Puma's manager, and a lot of the time will say, he's no good. Conan is just, riding the coattails of Prince Puma, and eventually he's going to stab him in the back, and Prince Puma needs to disassociate himself from Conan. A common theme that's going on there. So
right, and that's as Puma is the baby face, and you're playing off that Conan is eventually going to be the heel. It's Matt Stryker, is on the same side of that, in the fact that, talking about Johnny Mundo, at many times very complimentary and nice towards Mundo, even while acknowledging he's now got this dark streak that's come up, and, he's clearly the heel in the match. The, respect and admiration for the fact that this isn't just basic, heel babyface relationships here, but it's complex human emotions and decisions.
And one thing that I liked about this match too is that while Johnny Mundo is in his heel persona now, unlike in recent weeks, he got back to hitting moves like the End of the World and the Moonlight Drive and doing some of the more high-flying stuff that he did. Granted, when he was up 4-3 with like 8 minutes or 10 minutes left in the ring, he was doing some cat and mouse things on the outside of the ring, trying to kill time.
Brilliant.
And I understand that's kind of his heel character there, but there was something that didn't quite sit right with me. I mean, I can understand in an Iron Man match that there's no double countouts, but why in the world wouldn't there be a countout when Prince Puma is in the ring and Johnny Mundo is on the outside just trying to stall for time?
Good question. Wrestling logic for you.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to make sense, but yeah, it was another big pop moment is when Mundo was on the outside trying to stall for time, and it's like Conan didn't really phase him from, heading back out of the ring, but oh boy, did Alberto El Patron returning, did that ever get Johnny Mundo back into the ring. Patron just comes out of nowhere, out of the crowd, kicks Mundo down a flight of stairs, bashes Mundo's head into a wall on one side of the fans on the ring, then into another wall all the way across the arena. Patron tosses Mundo back in. Puma hits the springboard 450 splash from the ring apron and pins him, and that's what turned the tide in the match. That's what got the match back up to 4-4.
I was honestly expecting Patron to return the favor and send Mondo through the general manager's window.
I was expecting that too. I was also expecting Patron to set up to show up, because at the beginning of the show they started with a recap of the whole feud between Johnny Mundo and Alberto El Patron, and I'm just thinking, I bet Alberto El Patron is going to show up here. But yeah, I was kind of surprised that he didn't answer that or give that receipt back to Johnny Mundo for, throwing him through that window. That would have been, fitting, an eye for an eye. I was kind of expecting the same thing to happen too, Kev. I was expecting him to get thrown right through the window of Dario Cueto's office, but instead he got thrown into one wall and then another wall and then fed right back into the Puma for that 450 splash.
I tell you what, being that I was able to watch a whole show from start to finish, this is absolutely some of the best wrestling programming on, not just the wrestling programming, but the television production values are just off the wall crisp.
They are very nice, yeah.
They absolutely rival WWE.
The shots are good, the angles are good, they've got, like zoom ins and zoom outs, and they must have some cameras on tracks too, because it looks that way when they pan back to the ring and the camera's kind of doing this curve move.
Yeah.
They do have some good productions that you've seen, like in WWE, like you're saying, or like way back in the day from World Class, who had another really good TV setup even for their day. But yeah, it is really good production for a show that kind of reminds me, has that WSX feel. It does have a really crisp promotional value to it.
I absolutely appreciate it. And I started looking through, who's involved in the production on this. And really, it is literally a Hollywood who's who, of anybody involved in producing a show. Just absolutely amazing. The person heading this all up is Mark Burnett. This man has won, Emmy awards for his productions. And
wow.
Here he is making a wrestling show. And really, just the story that is being told when you don't have the wrestling. It's not hokey, half thrown together shit. It is well thought out, just as good as any top 10 TV drama.
Another thing that I wanted to put over with this, and this is kind of Lucha Underground Formula 2, is that when Patron came out, it's not that Patron was pro-Puma, not at all. Patron was anti-Mundo. He came down, he destroyed Mundo, fed him back to Prince Puma, but then Patron gets on the mic with about 4 minutes left in the match and tells both combatants that he's coming after whichever of them emerges victorious tonight. That whoever should win this match, it's no prize, because he's coming for whoever the victor should be. So that was kind of cool too, and that's kind of a Lucha Underground formula there that, it's not like babyface helping babyface. It's, Patron had a score to settle with Mundo. He did, and then he told both of them, hey, whoever wins this match, I'm coming for your title.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's necessarily not even so much anti-Mundo, but the fact that just El Patron's character is one who has a mutual respect for most of the people he's with anyway. So he wasn't going out there necessarily to help Puma because he wanted to see Puma remain as champion. He was just restoring a match that had gotten out of balance, in part because his own match was thrown out of balance.
Right, he had a score to settle with Johnny Mundo, and he settled it. He said, hey, he says, and he still told, essentially told Johnny Mundo that, hey, I may have attacked you tonight, but don't think that this debt is paid in full at all. So he did kind of pile a little bit more on Mundo, but he also told Puma, hey, if you come out of this match with the title, I'm coming after you too.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, overall, this was a great match. I've seen
this was great. Yeah, after Patron took the match, Mundo hit a standing Spanish fly on Puma, who kicked out at 2, and then with 8 seconds remaining in the match, Puma picked up a pinfall following a 720 somersault senton from the top turnbuckle on Mundo to win it 5-4.
Yeah, I can't think of a time when, I should say, I can't remember in a long time seeing such a good Iron Man match. I thought it was really good. Jordan, I apologize for cutting you off, sir.
No worries. Everything you guys said about the match, I agree with. A fantastic match indeed. And I just wanted to go back quickly to the commentary team that you guys were talking about with Vampiro and Matt Striker. And I just want to say, what a great announce team. It's one of the best there is in wrestling right now. Just because there's so much insight. And not just the regular insight you'll see on WWE. It's just, they're an extremely entertaining and knowledgeable announce team. They're probably one of my favorites that I've ever heard. So I just wanted to put that out there as well, is that Lucha Underground's commentary team, wow, it's awesome.
Yeah, they are good, and they have fun with it. It's like the crew on what is that, Access TV from New Japan. It's like they're okay, they're really good technically, but they don't have the fun that Vampiro and Matt Striker have on Lucha Underground. And that's kind of what I miss. I mean, granted, when I'm watching New Japan World online, I'm getting Japanese commentary, and if I knew Japanese, I'm sure I'd be marking out big time. But just to hear them, going, oh, superlegs, brain the buster, things like that I mark out for. But yeah, just the fun that Vampiro and Matt Striker legitimately have calling the matches is just something that's very refreshing. And I guess that's kind of the first thing that I kind of noticed when I was writing notes down for Money in the Bank, was just how it's like, oh boy, this commentary team of JBL and Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler, it's like, boy, can I listen to the Spanish announce team? I'd rather listen to them, because I'm used to guys like Vampiro and Matt Striker who do a phenomenal job calling the action.
Indeed.
So I think that pretty much sums up Lucha Underground. If you've got El Rey Network, go watch it. Go find the show. Go watch it. Go find this week's show that just aired. You are not going to be disappointed.
And Stevie in the chat room, he wants us to mention the upcoming ROH pay-per-view tomorrow.
Oh, shit.
I'm not familiar with it. Let me see if I can find any details on this here on the fly.
Yeah,
6/19/15, Best in the World 15, live on pay-per-view. You can order it online for $34.95.
I'll say this, that the way the interview that I've done on Tuesday, has reached out to the wrestling world. I'm going to be very excited to watch this up-and-coming Ring of Honor pay-per-view. The matches look great. I think it's going to be a great pay-per-view in my opinion. I don't want to chime in a lot on it, but I'll just say this. The pay-per-view is going to be good, and the card looks stacked.
And the main event, it looks to be title versus title, Jay Briscoe versus Jay Lethal.
Indeed. Jay Briscoe versus Jay Lethal. Two great wrestlers in Ring of Honor. And I cannot wait to see where this match goes. I actually haven't been watching too much Ring of Honor lately, but I actually might be ordering this pay-per-view just to see that match. That match is going to be awesome. And I'm not going to order it just to see that match. I'm going to order it to see all the other matches that you have. You have Roderick Strong versus Michael Elgin versus Moose. You have Silas Young and Dalton Castle. You have CC Wrestle Factory against War Machine. You have The Addiction, which is Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, who are the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, as they go against Red Dragon. And we have Mark Briscoe versus Donovan Dijak. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Like I said, I haven't watched much Ring of Honor lately, but he is with Truth Martini. We have Matt Sydal and ACH versus The Decade, and The Kingdom with Maria Kanellis, the newest interviewee to my resume, against the Bullet Club. AJ Styles, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson. That's the match you are going to want to watch. That match in the main event, indeed.
I do like the Bullet Club.
Oh man, the Bullet Club's amazing. Obviously you watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, you're an insider, you write the reports. Are you looking forward to that match? Like, that just looks like a stacked matchup. Like, wow.
That looks like a good match, and that was something they sort of teased at the Dontaku pay-per-view. They had like a mixed tag match with I forget who it was. I think it was Bennett and Taven with Kanellis against Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows, and Amber Gallows. So there's kind of like a tease version of that. But yeah, this seems more full on. This is, I mean, you've got your tag team in the Young Bucks, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Champions. You've got your IWGP Heavyweight Champion AJ Styles going up against the Kingdom. That should be a phenomenal match.
Oh yeah, indeed. Like I said, I'm a huge Kingdom fan. I've turned into a Kingdom mark, so that's probably going to be one of my favorite matches to watch on the show.
And I'm the other faction. I'm Bullet Club, and I was actually quite disappointed this week. I had on eBay, I had ordered a Bullet Club Latin America shirt, and I was really hyped to get it. I paid way too much for it, $45, which ended up getting refunded because they happened to be out of it. And even the New Japan website itself is out of the Bullet Club Latin America shirts, which really has me dismayed because I really wanted one of those. So yeah, if anybody out there listening to this live or on the replay knows where I can get myself an XL size Bullet Club Latin America shirt, hit me up on Twitter at Great Sudoku. I would greatly appreciate that.
You know, there was a event in Winnipeg, and I should have got myself a Bullet Club t-shirt. Man, those shirts look sick.
I mean, I've got the Bone Soldier one, but this is essentially a Bone Soldier one with a Mexican flag on the sleeve and then the text in the back in Spanish. And it's like, oh, I'm kicking myself for not buying one of these earlier because I would have loved to have one of those with as much, you know, the luchador stuff that I like from Mexico as well as the New Japan stuff that I like. It's just kind of that perfect blend, and it just seems like I missed an opportunity, and it's like, It's like, hey, Rocky Romero, if you're out there listening, man, if you know any of the guys in Bullet Club there, even though you're in Chaos, man, hey, somebody get me a Bullet Club Latin America shirt. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, so yeah, anything else about Ring of Honor or you want to talk about here, Jordan?
I just wanted to pop up the card on my desktop and just bring up the matches that are on the show. I just wanted to promote it a little bit, just to put it on the show as well, because it should be a great pay-per-view, and Ring of Honor on Destination America, Ring of Honor is looking really good right now in the future.
Okay. Yeah, I'd wanted to, I guess, finish up the show or at least talk about what, unfortunately with the passing of Dusty Rhodes, I didn't get to bring it up last week, but yeah, the Super Juniors, Best of Super Juniors 2015 did wrap up, and Kushida is your winner of Best of the Juniors, which I agree with. He was going up against Kyle O'Reilly, who was a great opponent, but it's, yeah, really, I think your winner of Best of the Super Juniors should be somebody that's, you know, working for you and not, you know, another promotion as great as ROH is and as great as O'Reilly was. Yeah, I really was glad to see Kushida win this, and they went at it for, I guess, probably like half hour or longer in the tournament final, and it went back and forth, and they were both working each other's arm over, and yeah, Kushida, you know, finally wins the match with that hammerlock type move. I don't know if there's a official name for that. I just kind of call it a hammerlock, but yeah, it's Kushida just, you know, rolled him back into the center of the ring as O'Reilly was going for the ropes. Kushida's like, I'll have none of that. Just rolled him right back into the center, cinched that in, and there you go. Kushida is your 2015 Best of the Super Juniors, and yeah, hopefully this will give him a boost. I'm not sure how long Alex Shelley's going to be on the shelf with the injury that he sustained, but you know, maybe this will give his tag team partner Kushida a boost going into the Dominion pay-per-view coming up next month with a title shot against the cleaner from Bullet Club, Kenny Omega, the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. And yeah, I just wanted to touch on just some overall thoughts that I had from the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. The biggest surprise is Barbaro Cavernario. This dude can bring it. This is a big guy who is a legitimate luchador who impressed me in damn near every match that he was in. He finished the card off in the finals against Mascara Dorada, another one that I've been impressed with that I've just started to get to know. But yeah, Cavernario really impressed me in the tournament. Ryosuke Taguchi, I really like some of the comedy stuff that he did. I really don't want to see him in main event. I really get sick of him, like his only move being an ass bump. He does have like a cool finishing maneuver, but yeah, he uses the ass bump way too much. But when he's impersonating other wrestlers, especially Shinsuke Nakamura, that's pretty cool. I like seeing him in comedy spots, but I don't want to see him in main events. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it was pretty good. It was disappointing to see Alex Shelley, go out so early. I didn't really expect Nick Jackson to do much in the tournament. Shout out to Rocky Romero. He was in the tournament. I liked watching him. He's another one that's kind of entertaining. I don't think he'll be in the main event, but, maybe a program with him and Ryosuke Taguchi would be really good. That I would like to see. Two kind of jokers, two of the crown princes of comedy there in the ring together would be really good. So yeah, we do have, I think on the 28th of this month, we have the Road to Dontaku, and then Dontaku is coming up next month or not Dontaku, Dominion. Yeah, Road to Dominion, and then Dominion is coming up next month. So, and Bionic One in the chat room says Cavernario sounds like a meal. Thought we got there already. No, we haven't stopped at Taco Bell yet, Bionic Iguana, but yeah, maybe later we'll pick you up some burritos. And yeah, Cavernario was awesome in the ring for a big guy. He kind of reminded me of like what Mike Awesome would do in ECW, only a little bit more luchador. But yeah, Cavernario was a surprise. I thought he was going to be a total slouch. I thought watching him, I thought he was just going to be, counting the lights for everybody that went there. But no, dude could bring it. I was surprised. I guess he actually holds some title in CMLL too, because he would come to the ring wearing his CMLL belt. So yeah, apparently he's been around the block. He's a pretty decent wrestler, and even though he didn't win the tournament, I was impressed by what I saw out of him, and that was a complete surprise.
Indeed, it looks like you got your New Japan Pro Wrestling stuff lined up, so that's really good indeed.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we have Dominion coming up, and then I think at the end of the month and then the beginning of August, we have the G1 Climax coming up, so I get to go back into overdrive mode again like I did with the Best of the Super Juniors, and this time do it with the heavyweights. So that's, something to look forward to at the end of next month and the beginning of August. So some exciting things are coming up here with New Japan Pro Wrestling with Dominion next month, and we know for sure that there's going to be a title match between Kushida and Kenny Omega, so we'll be watching for that.
Indeed.
Anything else on the docket you gentlemen want to talk about in the world of professional wrestling here this week?
We pretty much covered Lucha Underground. We covered Money in the Bank. You brought up a little bit about New Japan Pro Wrestling. And we talked a little bit about the upcoming ROH pay-per-view. So I think we pretty much talked about enough for tonight. Unless there's anything you want to chime in on, Kevin.
Nope, I am all done.
All right. I think
all right.
Done.
Any final shout-outs that you gentlemen would like to put out there? We'll go with you first, Jordan.
Yes, guys. Follow me on Twitter at Jordan J. Garber. You see a lot of tweets on there. I'm very interactive on there, so follow me on Twitter. I do have a Facebook page. Go on Facebook.com/Jordan J. Garber. That is the same as my Twitter. But yeah, if you want to follow one of the two, follow me on Twitter at Jordan J. Garber. Lots of up-and-coming stuff. And the only way to find out about those upcoming things from me is to follow me on my Twitter page. So check that out and my other social media as well. It should be good.
Any plugs you want to get out there, Kev?
Well, I'll give a couple plugs. Of course, we had Raw Reaction with Angry Tenzai and Big Vic every Monday night right after Raw ends. Join us in the chat room at AngryMarks.com/chat. Tuesday night, Tuesday night at 9 p.m. It is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. This past week, we had a conversation with Global Force Wrestling star Congo Kong, a.k.a. Steve Wilson. And there's a reason why we specify that. You'll have to tune into the show if you don't already know the story behind that. And, of course, coming up on the network, tomorrow night we're going to be recording an episode of The Impact Implosion. It's not been on the air for the last couple of weeks. We're going to get back to it again tomorrow night, and we'll have that new episode posted Saturday morning. Friday night, though, we're going to have Over the Top Radio with Ed in San Antonio, Craig and Cotrere to wrap up the week in professional wrestling and mixed martial arts. So check it all out.
All right, and I am the Great Sudoku. You can get at me on Twitter at Great Sudoku. I want to plug njpwworld.com. That's where you can get the live stream of New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you're like me, if WWE isn't your cup of tea, but you like Lucha Underground, you like ROH, you like what you see, definitely. It's less than $10 a month. It's 999 yen, which works out like $9 or something like that. Definitely check out njpwworld.com. You can also check out my cooking blog at veggiebending.wordpress.com. I am a vegan. I make some very tasty stuff. Maybe when we have Stevie back on the show next week, he'd wanted me to have a recipe. Maybe when you come on the show next week, Stevie, I'll have a recipe for you. Maybe I'll go over how I make my pizza. But that's all I've got to plug for now, for myself, for Killer Kev, and for Jordan. That's your Angry Marks podcast for Thursday night.
You took it to the limit. Now you're falling off the edge. Too late to be forgiven. It's your turn. You get what you deserve. Get the punishment.